Like Derek said, my name is Ana Lankford, and I'm with Teen Recovery Solutions, which encompasses Mission Academy, which is our high school. And then we also have what we call our Alternative Peer Group, or APG. And I will talk a lot more about both of those programs here in just a little while. But first, I would like to start by sharing just some statistics and some general information specifically about adolescents, substance abuse, treatment, and how do you get the best result from the treatment that you've chosen for your child after they return home from a treatment program. So just some quick numbers, statistics with alcohol. Young people ages 12 to 20 make up 11% of all the alcohol consumed in the US. Approximately 70% of all seniors in high school report that they've drank. 10% drove intoxicated, 21% drinking within the prior 30 days of the survey. And several of them, well, let me see, 22% reported that they drove in a car with someone who was intoxicated. So those are some pretty scary statistics. With THC, in 2015, it was reported that more high school students actually smoke weed than they smoke cigarettes, which is a pretty astonishing statistic. 10% of A students report smoking weed, and 48% of D and F students report using. 13% of those who begin using as a teen do become dependent. Approximately 5,000 teens try weed for the first time every day, and 35% of all 12th graders have smoked in the last year. I'm going to hazard a guess that those statistics probably have changed with the new laws and the fact that THC products and marijuana are much more easily accessible now in our state. Other substances adolescents deal with is inhalants, amphetamines, Adderall, Ritalin, regularly abused opioids, K2, spice, kratom is coming on the scene, tranquilizers, robotripping when they take the Courcine and triple Cs. And one thing that's been surprising to me in my work at the school recently is the increase in students that we have coming in that report regularly using cocaine. So that is something that has made a comeback. In fact, 3% of seniors admit to cocaine use, and this number is growing. That represents over 1 million teens are using cocaine. The average age of a heroin addict in treatment is 23. And the age of first use of heroin averages 16. 44% of seniors in high school know a classmate who deals. 91% knew that they knew someone that they could obtain substances from in school. So very easy to get substances in schools. So you have a teenager, maybe they have tested positive on a drug screen at school for one reason or another. Maybe you've noticed the behavior is changing. Those classical signs are there. Their grades are dropping. They've changed peer groups. They've disengaged from things that they love. Maybe their football team they've quit, or debate team they've walked away from. Something you notice is very different with your child. So at what point do you intervene, and at what point do you decide this is serious enough that my child needs treatment? So what you'll be looking for, of course, is tolerance, needing to use more over a longer period of time. If your child has reported to you that they've tried to quit and they can't, they spend a large amount of time focused on the substance, either using it, recovering from it, finding it, it consumes their life. They start to not meet their obligations with family, school, etc. They continue to use even with negative consequences. They use in dangerous situations such as driving. And there's tolerance and then withdrawal when they cannot get the substance. So the things that are really important to remember when you're talking about addiction in teens and adults is that addiction is a disease. And so major changes have occurred in the brain, which has created a mental and physical dependence on the substance. It will often develop in adolescence as an attempt to manage or control some kind of an underlying issue. Depression, anxiety, PTSD. There could be undiagnosed bipolar disorder. there could be a lot of things going on with that teen, but generally speaking, when we see a teen that's using, it's a red flag that something else is happening in that teen's life. They're trying to escape some sort of an intolerable reality. Effective treatment will address all aspects of healing and will approach the treatment from a holistic standpoint, which would be, body, mind, spirit. So for adolescents in our state, unfortunately, there's very little in way of treatment, which is just really unfortunate. I believe that there's White Horse Ranch in up toward Woodward, Moreland. There we go. Yeah. Thank you. They do a great job with adolescent girls. For boys, however, options are pretty limited. CRC has a 6-week program, but again, that's difficult because when you have a teen who's expressing the willingness to go to treatment, you need to get them there quickly, and usually there's a wait list. So unfortunately, what we have to do in our organization is we often will refer our families to treatment centers out of state. And our best outcomes that we see will result from a 90-day stay in a residential treatment center. So then we get into the nuts and bolts of the actual financial cost of this treatment. And it can really vary, just depends on the type of treatment center you're using your child to, where it's located, that kind of thing. Length of stay obviously makes a difference, but the cost can range from $6,000 a month to $20,000 a month and up. If they need to detox, 5 days of a medically supervised detox will add another $1,500 to $4,000 to that. Then, of course, if you have a child who's out of state in treatment, when my son went to treatment, he was in Houston. And so we had the added expenses of driving to Houston, hotel costs, food costs, time away from work, that kind of thing. So it's a huge investment. Oftentimes insurance will pay about 30 days worth of that treatment. So you have a massive financial investment as well. But even greater is the parents' investment of time, love, and hope. The goal is obviously long-term recovery for the teen and for families. So how do you protect your investment, and how do you ensure that this is going to be something that will enact lasting change in your teen? So lasting recovery roots in several different areas. 40 to 60% of those who are treated for chemical dependency issues will relapse within a year of release from treatment. So again, we go back to the disease model, and the thing about addiction is it is a relapse-prone disease, and we have to look at it that way. So we want to remember we're dealing with a chronic disease and go from there. So aftercare needs to include psychiatric management of any underlying disorders, outpatient therapy, fitness and health programs, recovery programs. This could be AA, NA, CODA, Al-Anon, Celebrate Recovery, Smart Recovery, Rational Recovery, as well as working on developing a spiritual life. We know that not everybody really connects to 12-step recovery. That's why I mentioned these other options, because there is a recovery program out there for everyone if they look. So teens in long-term recovery can be a little bit of a different animal than an adult. So again, I remind all that it is a relapse-prone disease. Teens are motivated by consequences, both positive and negative consequences. So positive consequences being, if you do the next right thing for 30 days, you might get your phone back. Negative consequences, if you continue to use and relapse, then you go back to treatment. But that's how teens are most highly motivated. Strongest predictor for long-term recovery is the support of their families and their peers. If friends are supportive of using, relapse is much more likely. If friends are supportive of recovery, recovery is much more likely. 12-step recovery groups, family involvement and support, peer groups, and spirituality are keys to success. As we always say, you have to change the playground and the playmates. However, this is extremely difficult for adolescents. We know that adolescents, their peer group is their life. You know, developmentally speaking, this is the time when adolescents are working to detach from the family and step out into their own world. And part of that process is peers. So what do you do when your kiddo's coming home from treatment and you don't want them to hang out with their previous peer group? You're really scared about them going back to their school because you know that that's where a lot of the influences are. So that's when recovery support comes in. And teens really need mentors in the recovery community, and a natural mentor relationship is most effective. So that would look like, for instance, in a 12-step meeting, they see someone telling their story or just watch them over time, and they determine that this is a person that they connect with, that they enjoy speaking with, that they like what they have to say. So they will approach that person and ask them to sponsor. So that's a natural mentor relationship that develops. A caring community environment will produce thousands of micro interventions on the life and recovery path of the teen. I call that planting seeds. You never know whenever you're going to plant a seed in a teen's mind and a teen's heart and a teen's soul that at some point in time will take root and will grow and will support their recovery. So the types of support that are most important would be companionship, emotional support, and instrumental support. So companionship would be just spending time with the teen, sharing meals with the teen, undistracted time focused on the teen. Maybe put your phones up, turn the TV off, sit down for a minute. Only 5 minutes can make a huge difference in a teen's life whenever you do that. It doesn't even have to just be parents. It can be any type of a positive person in their life. And then the emotional support, of course, is just listening without judgment, affirming when they're doing well, supporting when they're struggling, offering thoughts and direction to the teen, which is different than advice or telling them what to do. I don't know how many of you guys have raised teens, but you tell a teen that they have to do XYZ, they're probably going to want to do ABC, even if XYZ was what they really wanted to do. So, and then there's the other part of it is instrumental support, which is skills development. That would be individual therapy, group therapy, family therapy, that kind of thing would come in under instrumental support. And the teens that have these 3 types of support offered in a cohesive environment are the teens that are going to be more likely to sustain their long-term recovery. So it's critical, once a teen has been discharged from a treatment center, if they have discharged on Friday, they need to be wherever they're going to be for aftercare on Monday. It's critical that you not let any time lapse. You have to really get in there and make sure that things are set up for success before your teen leaves treatment. Door-to-door intervention is best. So as soon as possible, have an individual therapy session set up for your child and a family session set up for your family. The initial phase of coming home from treatment is exciting, called the honeymoon phase, when things are wonderful and great. And then the testing phase will begin. And then the maintenance phase. The testing phase is where relapse lives, because with that testing phase, what they're doing is they're trying to determine, am I actually truly an addict? And so they might decide they're going to hang out with their friends. They know their friends are going to be smoking, but their friends know that they can't smoke, so surely their friends won't try to get them to smoke. So that's testing. Having support in place prior to that phase is critical, and it will decrease chances that relapse can turn into long-term use. So where do you find support? Obviously for parents, they're very fortunate in Oklahoma to have parents helping parents. There's the Edmond chapter, Norman chapter, Oklahoma City chapter, this wonderful virtual chapter. So that is a great resource. We at TRS strongly encourage our families to attend Al-Anon for their own peace. CODA, family therapy, marital therapy, individual therapy. Marital therapy is very important when you have a teen who's been going through these things. I have seen it happen over and over again where families and marriages fall apart. Interesting, sometimes that happens when the teen gets better and you're not focusing as much on the teen, you don't really have anything to focus on but each other, cracks can show. So it's really important for you to take care of your relationship with your spouse during all of this as well. So now I want to talk just a little bit about our recovery high school that we have in Oklahoma City. Again, it's called Mission Academy. And those of you who have not heard of Mission Academy, it is a really amazing thing that we have for our teens in Oklahoma City. It is a state certified private high school. We're also certified by the Association of Recovery High Schools. That's a nationwide accreditation that we have. We are small. So when we're full, we're looking at about 15 to 16 students. So we are very small, and we're small very, very deliberately. We have 3 teachers on staff, 3 certified teachers, 2 full-time, 1 part-time. So you can see that the staff to student ratio is very, very good. They get a lot of individualized attention. So for our students are 9th to 12th grade. We can take an 8th grader if they're pretty far along in their 8th grade year. If they're just starting 8th grade, that would be a little bit more difficult. We do a great job with credit recovery, and we also pride ourselves in being able to meet the students where they are in that moment and figure out the best program for them to have the most success. You know, we don't want a student to come in and feel like they are overwhelmed or that they're never going to be able to finish school. So we try to be very, very supportive of them and help them get caught up as quickly as we can. So our teens are regularly drug tested. So twice a week at a minimum. And sometimes we'll do pop tests, 3 or 4 more times during the week. It's just for a high level of accountability. There's 2 therapists that are on staff during the day. So the kids can have access to counseling during the day if something comes up, if they had a bad day that night or a bad night the night before. We're there. Our doors are open, and they don't have to come on Thursday at 2 o'clock. They can come that moment. We prepare lunch family style and eat family style. So we're all kind of throw in there together, do the dishes together. And we do have summer school for students who are needing extra credit recovery. And one of the really cool things that I think that we do at the high school is we have a very strong focus on the arts. Creativity and music, I think, feed the soul and go a long way in helping teens in recovery. So we have 2 pianos, we have guitars, we have a ukulele, we have a pottery wheel, a kiln. We have a partnership with Art Space at Untitled, where the students get to go there once a month and spend the whole day creating. It's a really amazing program. In the past, we have had a rowing team where we've actually competed with high schools like US Grant and the big schools. Our little guys have been out there in their boat, and they've done incredibly well in those races, and they love it. So we really work very, very hard to have the students have as normal of a high school experience as they can have, all things considered. So in addition to the high school, we also have what we call our alternative peer group. And I feel like this is one thing that just really sets us apart. So this is an after-school program. And if a student is enrolled in our high school, then they're required to also be enrolled in ABG, and they're required to attend all ABG events, groups, and activities. So it meets 4 to 5 days a week after school. Mondays are our family night. So from 5 to 7, we do have family group and meet with the families, check in, make sure things are going well, if they need anything. And then Tuesdays, Thursdays groups are all about recovery skills, relationships, mindfulness and recovery, just all kinds of different topics that we cover in those groups. And then on Fridays, we have what we call our accountability group, where we all meet together and spend some time holding each other accountable for things that did happen or didn't happen throughout the week. And then Friday night's fun time. So this last Friday night, it was Valentine's Day. And so they went and got chicken wings from Buffalo Wild Wings and had a Valentine's party at the school. They baked cookies and they decorated the cookies and played some games, and they just had a great time being kids. In addition to that, we also go on 3 retreats per year. March retreat's coming up, and we'll be going to Missouri. where we'll be doing a lot of fun stuff. Summer retreat, we go for a week. Haven't really decided where we're going this year. And then in the fall is our camping retreat, which is awesome. The camping retreats are amazing because they don't have their technology. They don't have their devices. So it just leaves them in the woods and us, and it's wonderful. So we really pride ourselves on the fact that we do cover those three main components of long-term recovery in our program. Another thing that we do is community service, community work. We feel really strongly that the community of Oklahoma City and surrounding areas has supported us greatly in our school. And so we really encourage our kids to give back. And that might be the Humane Society, the food bank, infant crisis, they volunteered there. So that's another component of what we do. For us, we view a relapse in one of our kids as a sign of something's going off kilter, and it is an opportunity to learn, and it's not something that we're going to punish or pick a kid out for. It's something that we can say, okay, something's not right. Let's figure it out. Let's figure out what you need. What do we need to adjust, and go from there. We really are big on family support as well, which is the family groups on Monday night. And then we also encourage our families to meet with either myself or the other therapist a couple times a month at a minimum, more if there's stuff going on in the family that we need to address. So pretty proud of what we do. We offer a great program for teens. We provide them with a peer group, with social outings, with so much support, so much love, and so much care that when they come from treatment, it makes their ability to stay sober so much easier for them and more comfortable for them. So that is pretty much all I have, Derek.
Man, as soon as it's my turn, I get a frog in my throat. So I've had a couple of questions come across the feed.
Sure.
And some of them are, I think, just curiosities, and some of them are related to maybe clarifying something that they heard. So let me see which one I want to start with. I'll work backwards. You use the phrase door-to-door intervention, and that door-to-door intervention is the most successful. Can you just explain in a little bit more detail what that phrase means?
For me, what that means is when they walk out the door at treatment, very, very, very quickly, they're walking in the door of wherever their aftercare is going to be. There's no, we're going to take Junior to Disneyland for a week, or we're going to take a couple of weeks just to get readjusted as a family. That's dangerous. They need to leave one place and immediately start wherever they're going to be as quickly as possible. That's the most successful way to do it.
Excellent. If there are any other questions, make sure you're typing those in the thread while I'm asking the ones that we've already got, so that we can get the questions rolling, and maybe we won't have any of those awkward moments where me and Anna just stare
at each other.
At each other. So you said that a healthy parent and healthy peer support were the #1 predictors of recovery success for young people.
That's correct.
Just briefly, what does healthy parent peer support look like? Like, what might that look like? Maybe specifically for a parent.
For a parent, to me, that would look like understanding that, first of all, your teen is going, you sent an addicted teen to treatment. What you got back from treatment was a teen in recovery, but what you still have is a teen. So you're still going to have all the issues that a teen is going to have. They're going to be boundary pushers. They're going to test you. They're going to try to make sure, are you safe? Are you not safe? And so it's really important for parents to be prepared for that. We strongly recommend a family contract. It makes things much easier for the students. They know exactly what their curfew is, that kind of thing. So whenever there's a parent that is supportive of their teen in, for instance, upholding that contract to the letter, coming to the family support groups that we offer, coming to family therapy, what that says to the teen is, my mom and dad are invested in me, and they're invested in us as a family getting better.
So last one, I saved the most difficult question to answer for last.
Thanks, Eric.
I lobbed you the easy ones early. We were talking at the beginning of how difficult access to care can be, particularly in the state of Oklahoma. So the question is, what do you do if you can't afford treatment in Texas or Colorado or wherever all these treatment centers are?
Yeah, we run into this a lot. For us, for our students, mainly the number one thing that we require from them is willingness. We want them to be willing to work, to be sober. We want them to be willing to follow our program, to do what we ask of them. And so what we have found is that we've had to adjust somewhat what we do to accommodate teens who are unable to get to treatment. Meaning that, you know, they'll come to the school, an APG, possibly with some type of a contract in place with us so that they understand, you know, if this happens or this happens, then this will be the consequence. We also will work with the families to get some type of, you know, if they don't have access to a therapist referral, we'll get referrals for them, get all of that set up. So we try really hard to be as wraparound as we possibly can, but it's difficult. It's very difficult. One of the things we do, I forgot to mention this, is drug and alcohol assessments. And we offer that to the community at large. So anybody, if you have a teen that you suspect something's going on with, give us a call, get them in, we will do an assessment and see where they are. Yeah, and if they're not appropriate for us, then we'll help you find where they are appropriate for.
Yeah, great. That's good service. I didn't know you guys did that.
Yeah.
Excellent. So this is our kind of final call for any leftover questions that anybody is dying to ask. Don't be that person that finishes typing their question like literally as soon as I'm clicking close, because that happens almost every week and I feel bad for that person, but the fingers, it's already in motion and I just can't stop it. So any final questions from anybody else? I don't think so.
Okay, well, I would like to mention if anybody is curious about our program, would like to know more about it.
Oh, absolutely.
We do host lunch and learns once a month. I think it's the second Wednesday of the month from 11:30 to 12:30. All are invited. Anybody who's curious to see, they can come to the school, tour it, meet the teachers, meet the clinical staff. You'll hear one of our students tell their story, plus you get a very, very good free lunch. Another thing that we also are now offering is the first Friday of the month is an open house. I have created a 1-hour CEU. We will put that on for free. So therapists, if you come, it's a free CEU. And if you're really lucky, we might have cookies. I don't know. But at the very least, you'll get a free 1-hour CEU. And again, you'll be able to tour the school, see what we do, and really be able to ask any in-depth questions you might have.
Right. Excellent. I'm going to take the feedback. I'm going to turn my light on though, so it's bright and pretty. There we go. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us. So we did have one final question, click through. I'll kind of address that really quick. Somebody just asked us if we had heard anything good about treatment center fill in the blank. And one of the things we try to do is provide lots of resources, but unless we have a guest from that place on the show, we really don't offer up any opinions. Any opinions that we have about a treatment center is going to be my personal opinion or that volunteer's opinion. And Parents Helping Parents, we just want more resources all the way around. So if you know somebody from there and they'd love to come on and share about their program, I'd love to give them a platform. But in terms of just straight up recommending places when we don't have those people here live to answer questions, I'm going to avoid that like the coronavirus. But thank you for asking anyway. So we will be right back here 2 weeks from tonight with another meeting. So we've got some cool things in the works. We're going to be looking at adding some content and doing lots of different things. So get plugged in, follow us on Facebook, stay plugged into that website to see all the great new things that are coming. And we appreciate you guys joining us today. Have a wonderful week. Hopefully springtime is here. That's what it felt like today. Thank you guys.